there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight. Your one stop for the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi. I'll be getting you all the news in the next 30 minutes, but first, the headlines. Class 10th and 12th examinations to be held on time in Kashmir Valley despite the unrest. Joint team of police and security forces arrest Lashkar-e-Toiba operative from Sopore area in North Kashmir. Centre launches a scheme to provide free health checkups to pregnant women at government health centres and hospitals. Prime Minister Modi had announced the initiative in his Mann Ki Baat address. Congress steps up attack on the NDA on the OROP issue. Former Defence Minister A.K. Antony says government is not truthful on the issue. The Finance Minister Arun Jaitley counters the charge. And Iraqi special forces expand their foothold in the Islamic State stronghold of Mosul, recapture 6 districts in the east after inflicting heavy losses on the militant fighters. Top story this evening, the GST Council met on Friday and it remained indecisive. The state finance ministers are now slated to meet informally on the 20th of November to discuss pending issues. And the final council, the GST Council, will be meeting again on the 24th and 25th of November to sort out the dual control issue.
The GST Council failed to iron out differences on Friday over the issue of control over cesses under the Goods and Services Tax regime. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley asserted that around 10 important issues were resolved, but pitched for greater clarity on the administration of taxes after informal deliberations between the state finance ministers.
Whatever option we have, we don't want to take it in a hurry because this has to be a well thought out solution. Because administratively, any mistake on this front could be chaotic.
Jaitley also said that draft proposals will be provided to all states and states will be given time to review the drafts. He also clarified that efforts are on to pass supporting GST legislations in winter session of Parliament beginning November 16th.
When in the month of August we had passed the Constitution Amendment, it looked too challenging because the time was very short. As of today, I am more confident than I was in August. Let me say this because bulk of the spade work has been done.
The issue of dual control is one of the key matters to be taken up by the GST Council now. According to an earlier proposal, states were to assess businesses with an annual turnover of 1.5 crore rupees, while both the centre and the states were to assess businesses with higher turnover. Meanwhile, a status quo was agreed upon for assessment of service tax assessees, with the powers continuing to stay with the centre till the state officials were trained to do so. However, some states have raised objections to these proposals for upholding their fiscal autonomy. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
The government today launched a scheme to provide free checkups to pregnant women at government health centres and hospitals. This comes after Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced the PMSMA scheme during his monthly radio address Mann Ki Baat on the 9th of June. Here are more details.
Expectant mothers can now avail free health checkup and treatment for free on the 9th of every month across the country. Government has also urged the private sector to voluntarily provide free check to such women, especially those living in semi-urban, poor and rural areas.
संख्या में फॉक्सी की बहुत बड़ी संख्या है, गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट की बहुत बड़ी संख्या है. इन्होंने आज प्लेज लिया है कि वह महीने की 9 तारीख को जो माताएं हैं, प्रेग्नेंट मदर्स हैं, वो मुफ्त जांच करेंगी.
The women will be tested for anemia, blood pressure, high blood sugar, hormonal disorders and other problems associated with pregnancy, and provided free ultrasounds to track the development of the baby in the womb. The scheme is applicable only to women in their pregnancy period of 3 to 6 months.
यह आंदोलन बनता है तो स्वास्थ्य के जगत में एक क्रांति आएगी और हम स्वस्थ बच्चे और स्वस्थ माताओं को हम देख सकेंगे.
India has a maternal mortality rate of 167 maternal deaths per 1 lakh births. Millennium Development Goals set a target of bringing them down to 140 by 2015. One pregnant woman dies every 12 minutes, with 44,000 dying each year in India. Assam has the highest maternal mortality rate of 300 per 1 lakh live births. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
The Congress party today upped the ante against the central government on the issue of OROP, while party Vice President Rahul Gandhi met the ex-servicemen and criticized the NDA government for not implementing OROP. the youth wing activists staged a protest in the national capital.
15 उद्योगपतियों को 1,10,000 करोड़ रुपए दिए गए हैं, मगर किसान को और हमारी सेना के लोगों को पैसा नहीं दिया जा रहा है। ना किसान की इज्जत हो रही है, ना हमारी सेना की एक्स सर्विसमैन की इज्जत हो रही है। हो क्या रहा है? हिंदुस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री जी खड़े होते हैं और कहते हैं मैंने 1 रैंक 1 पेंशन कर दिया है। अगर आपने 1 रैंक 1 पेंशन कर दिया है तो हमारे एक्स सर्विसमैन जंतर मंतर में क्यों खड़े हुए हैं?
3 days after ex-serviceman Ramkishan Grewal committed suicide in the national capital, the Congress remained steadfast in its attack on the NDA on the issue of OROP. Party Vice President accused the Prime Minister of not giving due respect to the retired soldiers. Former Defence Minister A.K. Antony also accused the NDA government of not being truthful on the issue of OROP.
This government gave false promises and they cheated the ex-servicemen. Rahul Ji's visit to the deceased family and his attempt to go to the hospital, this government prevented it without any sanction of law.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, however, defended the government on the issue.
मुझे लगता है कि जिन लोगों को 10 साल तो कांग्रेस के नेताओं को विशेष रूप से 10 साल तो कोई सहानुभूति थी नहीं जब वो सरकार में थे रिटायर्ड डिफेंस पर्सनल के साथ, 10 साल उन्होंने लागू नहीं किया। 24 अप्रैल को जाकर 2014 को चुनाव के दौरान जब आधा चुनाव हो चुका था एक कमेटी बना दी, तो आज उनकी जो सहानुभूति उभरी है वो केवल राजनीति से प्रेरित है। ये पहली सरकार है एनडीए की जिसने इस डिमांड को केवल स्वीकार ही नहीं किया, इसको लागू भी किया है और हजारों करोड़ रुपए का, यूपीए की तरह 500 करोड़ का बजट में प्रावधान नहीं, हजारों करोड़ रुपए का प्रावधान भी कर दिया है और उसकी पेमेंट भी लाखों एम्प्लॉइज को ऑलरेडी हो रही है।
Meanwhile, Indian Youth Congress activists staged a protest in the national capital, protesting against the police action in the past 2 days on the suicide of ex-serviceman Ramkishan Grewal. Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
The Jammu and Kashmir police arrested a Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist from Baramulla district of North Kashmir today. Meanwhile, despite the ongoing unrest in which several schools were gutted down, the state school administration has decided to conduct examinations of class 10th and 12th as scheduled from mid-November. As many as 31 schools and 110 government buildings were damaged in the state since the current unrest began 4 months ago.
A Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist was arrested from Sopore area of North Kashmir's Baramulla district on Thursday night. A joint operation by the police and security forces led to the arrest of terrorist Umar Khalik Mir. Arms and ammunition like AK rifles and grenades were also reportedly recovered from him.
An effort was made to seek surrender of the terrorists. The locals of the area, the owner of the house, they were involved, and finally he was persuaded to surrender. A case has been registered and the investigation has been taken up to see further involvement of any.
Despite the ongoing unrest, 10th and 12th class examination will be conducted on time this month in the valley. However, students in Kashmir were demanding postponing of their examinations due to the unrest and school being burned down.
ये हमने स्टूडेंट्स के कैरियर को मद्देनज़र रख के किया है। हमें मालूम है कि हमारे बच्चे जो है नेशनल लेवल पे कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशन में बैठते हैं और वो कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशन जो होते हैं वो मई और जून महीने में होते हैं। इसलिए हम एग्जामिनेशन आज करने से, नवंबर महीने में करने से हम उनको भरपूर मौका फराहम कर रहे हैं कि वो उस एग्जामिनेशन के लिए जो नेशनल लेवल का एग्जामिनेशन होता है उसके लिए उनको हम टाइम दे रहे हैं।
During the current unrest, 27 schools were set on fire, while there were more attempts to burn other educational institutions. Meanwhile, in view of the improving situation, no curfew was imposed after Friday prayers anywhere in the valley. However, normal life remained affected for the 119th day in a row due to the shutdown called by the separatists. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Political parties and independent media organizations have lodged protests against the day-long ban on NDTV India for its coverage of the Pathankot attack. The ban is to be enforced on the 9th of November, but the channel and other media bodies have demanded an immediate withdrawal of the blackout. Here's a report.
Organisation NDTV says it is shocking that the government chose to single out its Hindi news channel over the Pathankot attack coverage. In a statement posted on its website, it disclosed that it is examining all options in the matter. The statement comes a day after the government told NDTV India to go off-air for a day on 9th of November. Various press and broadcasting associations also expressed concern and demanded that the government withdraw its order immediately. The Editors Guild of India said the move by the government is a direct violation of the freedom of the media and therefore the citizens of India. The first of its kind order to impose a blackout has seen the central government entrust itself with the power to intervene in the functioning of the media and take arbitrary punitive action as and when it does not agree with the coverage. Political parties, including the Congress, called the government's action authoritative and intimidating. Congress leader Digvijay Singh urged all newspapers and channels to go off-air along with NDTV India to register their protest. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also expressed shock on the ban. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry issued its order on NDTV India based on the conclusions of an interministerial panel. The panel reported that the channel allegedly revealed crucial and strategically sensitive information when the terror attack on Pathankot Air Base was being carried out in January. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In more news now, the National Green Tribunal today came down heavily on the centre and Delhi government for not taking enough steps to tackle the alarming air pollution levels in the national capital. A bench headed by NGT chairperson Swatantra Kumar slammed both for shifting blame on each other without bothering about the health of the people. The bench also rejected the Delhi government's claim that the high air pollution is due to crop burning in Haryana, Punjab and Rajasthan. In its response, the bench said, and I quote, "It is not just crop burning. There is no crop burning in Delhi. According to you, crop burning is in Haryana, Punjab and Rajasthan, but nowadays there is no wind, so the smoke cannot come here from these states," unquote. Meanwhile, Delhi government has announced closure of all MCD schools for one day tomorrow due to heavy pollution. Now, the government de-recognized more than 11,000 NGOs after they failed to renew their registration by June end. In the list are about 50 orphanages, hundreds of schools and institutions such as the Indian Statistical Institute and reputed NGOs that work for street children. The government crackdown will prevent these NGOs from receiving foreign funds. Last year, the government had cancelled FCRA registrations of 10,000 non-government organizations for not filling in their annual returns for 3 years in a row. Many of these organizations were defunct or did not want the FCRA registration in any case. The latest move by the government brings down the number of not-for-profit organizations permitted to receive foreign funding to 20,500, less than half of what it was 2 years ago. And here are more national news updates in Nationwide. Normal life was disrupted in Orissa on Thursday after a shutdown call by the CPIM against the killing of 30 rebels. All state-run buses stayed off roads and shops and businesses remained closed, while security forces maintained strict vigil across the state. Police and security personnel killed 30 Maoists in a remote forested area of Orissa late last month. A police officer was also killed and another wounded in the operation. At least 3 people were killed and 3 others injured on Friday after a bus fell into a gorge in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. The bus is said to have skidded off the road. The injured were immediately rushed to the district hospital for treatment. Hazrat Ala Dargah in Bareilly district has banned women's entry in the shrine. Authorities issued directives asking the men to not bring women along during the Urs commemoration of the saint starting the 24th of November. The directive, however, will extend beyond Urs, as shrine authorities said that it is indecent for women to be present in a place crowded by men. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has announced a judicial inquiry into the encounter of the 8 Simi under trials who were gunned down on Monday after they allegedly escaped from the Bhopal Central Jail. A probe into the jailbreak as well as the subsequent killing of the under trials will be conducted. An audio clip on Thursday revealed that the order to kill all 8 men came from the top. Apollo Hospital on Friday said that J. Jayalalitha is well and it is up to her to decide when to be discharged. The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister will reportedly be moved out of the critical care unit to a private room soon. The 68-year-old CM was admitted to Apollo Hospital on the 22nd of September with fever and dehydration. With a quick break, up next, international news.
Judiciary from time to time has raked up this issue that the government cannot justify the delay in appointment of judges.
Till the final new memorandum of procedure is finalized, we will continue with the old memorandum of procedure. On that basis, we are making almost 96 new appointments.
Quota and the sub-quota, within the judiciary. Timing when Prime Minister has made this statement with an eye on elections in important states like UP and Punjab.
Every development should not be seen with the eye of the political move.
Watch to the point with Minister of State for Law and Justice, Mr. P.P. Chaudhary, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. International news now. And after conducting joint military exercises with China last month in the sensitive South China Sea region, Russia is now eyeing better relations with Chinese adversaries, Japan and Vietnam. It's a move that may embarrass China but could soothe nerves of many East and Southeast Asian countries in the face of increasing Chinese unilateralism in the region. Here's a special report.
In its efforts to create a multipolar world in the post-Soviet era, Russia is looking to make new friends and increase its influence across the globe. In a new strategic twist, it's collaborating with Japan, Vietnam and other East Asian powers who are direct challengers of China.
In order to balance China, Russia is emphasizing the intent to deepen relations with major rivals and enemies of China in Asia-Pacific, Japan, right? And we are very serious about deepening Russian-Japanese relations. Vietnam, ASEAN countries. Eurasian Economic Union will have free trade zone with Vietnam. We are talking about free trade zone between Eurasian Economic Union and ASEAN, not with China. Not with China.
Russia and China were competitors in the Soviet era. Both had border disputes, and China was then closer to the United States. But after the collapse of the USSR, they mended bridges, although currently Russia doesn't want to exclusively depend on China.
Some people may say now in Russia that Russia is becoming kind of unilateral dependent on China. So from that point of view, we need India to counterbalance this possible dependency, let's say. And economically, India is an important partner because, you know, during this last meeting between our leaders, we signed a lot of contracts, including the arms trade and creation of building of nuclear stations here. So it's India is.
The views about the strategic rethink came at an interaction of Indian and Russian defense think tanks. Russia is keen to dispel Indian fears about any growing bonhomie with China. It says relations with China are an attempt to avoid confrontation in the region and boost economic cooperation. In other words, it says they are just friends, not allies.
That means Russia-China relationship is also not glitch-free. Russia is using balancing as a keyword in its relationship with China because it doesn't want to create another USA in the form of China. Akhilesh Soman for Rajya Sabha television with camera person Raj Thakur in Delhi.
Iraqi special forces on Friday recaptured 6 districts of eastern Mosul, expanding their foothold in the Islamic State stronghold. Iraqi forces took over several neighborhoods, including Sama, Khadra and Karama, inflicting heavy losses on the militant fighters and raising the Iraqi flag over buildings. The development comes a day after Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi told his jihadist followers that there could be no retreat. Heavy fighting erupted in the eastern neighborhoods of Mosul on Friday as Iraqi troops launched an assault deeper into the urban areas of the city. Meanwhile, the Turkish armed forces deployed tanks and other armored vehicles in Silopi near the border with Iraq Military sources did not give a reason for the deployment, but President Tayyip Erdogan had earlier said that Turkey was aiming to reinforce its troops if the Shiite militia groups terrorized the Iraqi city of Tal Afar.
فاكيد يكون غير التحسين والمقاومات راح تكون بشراسه وعنف كنا متوقعين هذا الشيء وفعلا هو هذا صار يعني وبالنسبه لطبيعه عملي انا عندي 3 عجلات همر ايضا وصلنا الفوجي بعد تطوير هذا الشارع.
On to some news from the US presidential elections, and Bernie Sanders and musician Pharrell Williams on Thursday praised Hillary Clinton's inclusive vision during her campaign trail in the battleground state of North Carolina. Clinton's former rival for the Democratic nomination, Bernie Sanders, targeted Trump and said that the cornerstone of his campaign is bigotry and insisted that they were not going to be going back to a bigoted society. Pharrell Williams also clarified that he and Clinton had spoken about her plans to address mandatory minimum prison sentences, which disproportionately affected black men, as well as other issues including equal pay for women and reducing the cost of college tuition at public universities. He added that because Clinton is a woman, she would bring a different and valuable perspective to the White House.
We have struggled for so many years to overcome discrimination, and he is running his campaign, the cornerstone of which is bigotry. Now, as Americans, we can disagree on many issues, but we have come too far. Too many people have gone to jail, and too many have died in the struggle for equal rights. We are not going back to a bigoted society.
How dare anyone question a woman's ability? Every person on this planet was brought into this world by a woman.
Tens of thousands of Muslim protesters in Indonesia marched towards the presidential palace on Friday, demanding the ouster of the governor of the capital, Jakarta. The governor is alleged to have insulted Islam by criticizing his opponent's use of the Quranic verse in a stump speech. And according to reports, an estimated 2 lakh people took to the streets demanding the governor's resignation. Protesters earlier gathered at the Istiqlal Mosque and then moved to the presidential palace. As many as 18,000 police and military personnel were deployed for the protest. The atmosphere in Jakarta was tense and access to business districts was restricted. And here are some more international news updates in Global Buzz. The UK government has announced changes to its visa policy for non-European Union nationals, which will affect a large number of Indians, especially IT professionals. Under the new visa rules, anyone applying after the 24th of November under the Tier 2 intra-company transfer category would be required to meet a higher salary threshold of £30,000 from the earlier £20,800. The two co-leaders of Turkey's pro-Kurdish HDP opposition party have been detained along with 9 other MPs. Police mounted tight security outside the party headquarters in Ankara as part of a counter-terrorism inquiry. The Turkish Interior Ministry said that detention orders for 13 MPs were issued, but only 11 were detained as the other 2 were abroad. And hours after that detention of the 11 lawmakers from the People's Democratic Party, a car bomb killed at least 8 people and injured more than 100. Officials said the blast took place near a police station where the apprehended lawmakers were taken. Several ambulances were dispatched to the area. The death toll from a boat accident off an Indonesian island rose to 54, with hopes fading for many people still missing. A packed speedboat carrying 98 Indonesian migrant workers, most of them illegal, and 3 crew members sank off Indonesia's Batam Island on Wednesday. It had departed from Malaysia's southern state of Johor. And finally, let's get you all the updates from the world of sports in SportsBeat. The BCCI has informed the England team that it won't be able to pay its hotel and travelling bills due to financial restrictions levied on it by the Supreme Court. The board stated that it can temporarily pay for it but will need the funds remitted immediately. On Thursday, the Lodha panel stated that the upcoming England tour of India does not fall under the mandate of the committee and no directions can be issued on payments unless details are furnished. The New South Wales Coroner's Court on Friday ruled the death of Australian batsman Philip Hughes was a tragic accident, but not a result of a failure to enforce the rules of the game or inadequate safety equipment. Hughes was hit on the back of the neck by a rising delivery while playing for South Australia in a domestic match on the 25th of November 2014. He died 2 days later in a Sydney hospital. Novak Djokovic recovered from a slow start as he continued the bid to retain the world #1 ranking with a 4-6, 6-2, 6-3 win over Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov in the Paris Masters third round. Djokovic will next take on 9-seeded Marin Cilic for a place in the semi-finals. Nine-time Olympic gold medalist Usain Bolt is set to race in Australia for the first time in his career, as he will take part in the inaugural edition of the Nitro Summer Series scheduled to be held in February. Reports suggest Bolt is likely to earn over $1 million for his appearance. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.